What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you're sitting down for this one because the news we're diving into today is absolutely wild. The Dallas Cowboys, one of the most iconic franchises in the entire NFL, are reportedly targeting Jermaine Johnson as the man to potentially replace Micah Parsons and lead a defensive rebuild in Dallas. Yeah, you heard that right. Jermaine Johnson, the talented young edge rusher who's been making waves with his explosive play, could soon be wearing that famous star on his helmet. This isn't just a random rumor, it's something that's been bubbling beneath the surface for a while now, and it signals a massive potential shift in the Cowboys' defensive philosophy. Now, before we jump to conclusions, let's unpack everything because this story is way deeper than just a simple player swap. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. Why would the Cowboys even think about replacing Micah Parsons? Parsons is arguably the most electric defensive player in football right now, a guy who can rush the passer, drop into coverage, and chase down running backs sideline to sideline. But if you've followed the Cowboys closely this season, you know that contract tensions, locker room whispers, and long-term cap concerns have started to cast a shadow over the team's relationship with their superstar. The Cowboys front office is known for thinking several steps ahead, and as much as fans might hate to admit it, they've started exploring contingency plans in case Parsons becomes too expensive or decides to test free agency in the future. And that's where Jermaine Johnson enters the conversation. Jermaine Johnson is not just another edge rusher, he's a player built from the same mold as Micah, explosive, physical, relentless, and with a motor that never quits. Coming out of college, he was known for his versatility, his ability to set the edge in the run game, and his developing arsenal of pass rush moves. In the NFL, he's already proven he can disrupt offenses with a mix of power and finesse. He's younger, still on a manageable rookie deal, and could fit perfectly into the Cowboys' long-term defensive plans. Think about what that means. The Cowboys could potentially transition from one elite pass rusher to another without breaking their cap situation, something that's incredibly difficult to do in today's league. This move isn't just about replacing talent, it's about sustainability, about keeping the defense competitive for years to come. If the Cowboys can acquire Johnson without mortgaging their future, it could be one of the savviest defensive moves of the decade. Now let's talk about what makes Johnson such an intriguing fit in Dallas. The Cowboys' defense under Dan Quinn and whoever continues to carry that legacy thrives on versatility. They love players who can line up anywhere along the front, who can confuse offensive lines, disguise pressures, and attack from unexpected angles. Johnson fits that mold perfectly. He's comfortable with his hand in the dirt as a traditional defensive end, but he can also stand up and rush from a linebacker position, much like Parsons does. His athletic profile gives the Cowboys flexibility, allowing them to maintain that fast, aggressive, and creative defensive identity that's defined their success over the past few years. When you watch Johnson's tape, you see a player who plays with intensity. He doesn't just chase the ball carrier, he hunts them. That kind of attitude would mesh perfectly with the Dallas culture, a defense that thrives on swagger, energy, and physicality. But here's where things get interesting. If the Cowboys really are serious about making this move, they'll have to consider the price. Jermaine Johnson is not going to come cheap. He's young, talented, and still improving. His current team isn't just going to hand him over for a mid-round pick. We're talking about potential first or second round compensation, maybe even a player involved in the deal. The Cowboys will have to weigh whether that price is worth it, especially if it means officially moving on from Micah Parsons down the road. Yet, the front office might be thinking long term. With salary cap flexibility always being a concern and the need to keep their defensive unit balanced, Johnson could represent the perfect blend of value and production. It's the kind of forward-thinking move that could pay off massively 2 or 3 seasons from now. There's also the emotional element here because let's face it, Micah Parsons isn't just a great player, he's the face of the Cowboys' defense. Replacing a personality like that is never easy. The locker room impact, the leadership void, the energy he brings, all of that would be difficult to replicate. But the NFL is a business, and the Cowboys have been in this position before. They've let go of stars before when the financial math didn't work. What's fascinating is how Jermaine Johnson's personality could actually complement the Cowboys' existing roster. He's confident but not overbearing, hardworking but humble, and those traits could make him a great locker room fit, especially in a defense filled with young, hungry players eager to prove themselves. It would also give veterans like DeMarcus Lawrence someone to mentor, potentially extending the productivity of the defensive front. Now, imagine this for a second. Johnson lines up opposite Lawrence, with Osa Odigizwa collapsing the pocket inside and Trayvon Diggs lurking in the secondary waiting to capitalize on rush throws. That's a terrifying image for opposing quarterbacks. Even without Parsons, that's a defense that could wreak havoc on Sundays. And if Johnson reaches his ceiling, Dallas might not skip a beat. The Cowboys would be transitioning from one dynamic pass rusher to another, but at a fraction of the long-term cost. The scheme wouldn't need major adjustments, and the culture of aggression and speed would stay intact. From a pure football standpoint, the move makes a lot of sense. Of course, no big move like this comes without risk. Johnson is still relatively young, still developing consistency, and has had moments where he's disappeared in games. The Cowboys would need to be confident in their coaching staff's ability to unlock his full potential. But Dallas has done an incredible job developing defensive players lately. Look at how they've elevated players like Dorrance Armstrong, Darren Bland, and others who came in as role players and turned into impact contributors. If any franchise can get the best out of Johnson, it's Dallas. The defensive line coach has built a reputation for maximizing effort and teaching advanced technique, and that could help Johnson take that next step. Let's also address the bigger picture. This move isn't just about one player. It's about the Cowboys trying to reset their defensive identity. For the last few years, the defense has been built around Micah Parsons' unique skill set. He's the chess piece they move all over the board. But the downside of that is the defense sometimes feels too dependent on him. When he's double-teamed or neutralized, the rest of the unit struggles to create pressure. Bringing in someone like Johnson would give them a more traditional defensive foundation. He's a true edge defender who can play his role consistently, allowing the rest of the defense to function cohesively rather than orbiting around one star. It could make the Cowboys' defense more balanced, less predictable, and ultimately more effective against top-tier offenses. So if you're a Cowboys fan, buckle up. This offseason and the next few months could bring some of the most dramatic developments we've seen in years. Whether Parsons stays or goes, whether Johnson arrives or not, one thing is clear: Dallas is not standing still. They're evaluating every option, every angle, every way to stay competitive in a league that changes by the week. If Johnson does become a Cowboy, get ready to see a defense that's younger, hungry, and out to prove they can dominate without relying on one superstar. And if this move actually happens, don't be surprised when you start seeing highlights of Johnson blowing up backfields in that iconic blue and white uniform. So that's the full breakdown: the Cowboys potentially targeting Jermaine Johnson as Micah Parsons' successor and the face of a new defensive era in Dallas. It's bold, it's unexpected, and it could reshape the entire future of the team. Let me know what you think. Is this a genius move or a massive gamble? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button if you enjoyed this deep dive, and don't forget to subscribe for more breaking NFL stories just like this. As always, thank you for watching, stay tuned for the next update, and remember, in Dallas, the drama never sleeps, and neither do we.